Alright, welcome back to Veteran Game, the only channel where you can get the real story behind gaming's wildest comebacks, weirdest failures, and most unexpected success stories. If you love honest reviews, gaming deep dives, and absolutely no sugarcoating, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's talk about a game that literally feels like it washed up on shore from a different era. Captain Blood. So let's start with the headline. This is a pirate hack and slash that was first announced in 2003. Yeah, I'll let that sink in. It went through dev hell, legal battles, leaks, total cancellations, and somehow, against all odds, finally released in 2025. If you ever wanted to see what happens when a game marinated in limbo for 20 years, Captain Blood is it. But is it actually worth your time, or should it have stayed buried at sea? Here's the basic premise. You're Captain Peter Blood, classic swashbuckler, rogue with a heart of gold, and 17th century menace to the Spanish Main. It's all here. Duels, ship battles, boss fights, buried gold, and more cutlass swinging than a Pirates of the Caribbean marathon. You want old school pirate action? Captain Blood delivers it with both barrels and maybe a grenade or two for good measure. Let's talk about what actually works. If you have a soft spot for old-school hack-and-slash games, the PS2 God of War era, Fable's chunky character models, and those over-the-top, lane-based beat-em-ups, this game is basically a love letter to that period. The visuals have a weirdly charming dated chunkiness. Think mid-2000s but upscaled with lots of silly ragdolls and enough blood to make Mortal Kombat blush. The music, surprisingly decent. You can tell they're aiming for Hans Zimmer's pirate sound without getting sued. Sometimes it nails that adventurous vibe, even if the soundtrack loops get a little repetitive. Combat is simple but undeniably fun in short bursts. You've got your sword, a pistol for quick staggers, and a random assortment of muskets, grenades, and even boxes to lob at enemies. There's a lot of button mashing, and unlocking combos or executions with your gold helps keep things from getting too stale. Want to send a whole squad of bad guys flying with a rage-fueled swing? You can. Boss fights sometimes add environmental puzzles or wild quicktime events, and there's genuine variety in the weapons you pick up. And the ship battles, while not exactly Black Flag levels of deep, do add some welcome variety. You'll run between cannons, shoot down enemy vessels, and fend off borders. It can be chaotic, clunky, and a little silly, but honestly, it breaks up the brawling nicely. But here's the catch. Captain Blood feels ancient in all the ways that matter. This game is a straight-up time capsule. The camera is mostly fixed, the gameplay loop is pure spam the same two combos to clear rooms, and the enemy variety is laughably low. You'll fight waves of identical Spanish soldiers and pirates, with only a handful of bosses to break things up. After a few hours, you'll know exactly what every encounter is going to throw at you. And then there's the sound design. I hope you love subtitles, because the dialogue is so badly mixed, you'll miss half the story unless you read along. There are barely any settings to fix it, and you can only tweak options from the main menu. Accessibility features, practically non-existent. Let's talk about the story. Adapted from the classic Raphael Sabatini novel, Captain Blood's narrative is shockingly low-key, no supernatural pirates, no undead curses. Just you, the British, some loot, and your enemies. The plot is solidly serviceable, but nothing here is breaking new ground. The few female characters in the game are straight out of a mid-2000s time capsule, and not in a good way. Stereotypes abound. And then we get to the mechanics that time forgot, quick time events. Sometimes they're fine, but other times, especially during boss fights, they're so unforgiving. You'll miss them before your brain even registers what button flashed on the screen. There's also no chapter select, so if you want to replay a section or try a different difficulty, you're restarting from scratch. So why would you play this in 2025? Nostalgia, pure and simple. If you grew up with the God of War clones, if you have a soft spot for dated pirate games, if you just want to beat up baddies with a cutlass and watch ragdoll physics go nuts, Captain Blood can absolutely scratch that itch. There's something weirdly comforting about a game that makes zero apologies for being a blast from the past. But for most players, this is an artifact, not a revelation. The repetitiveness, lack of polish, and dated design choices make it tough to recommend if you're expecting anything modern, innovative, or even all that refined. If this game had actually released back in 2010, it probably would have been remembered as a decent B-tier action game with some cult classic charm. Now it's more of a curiosity, something you show your friends when you're talking about games lost to time. Final verdict. Captain Blood is a wild ride through gaming history, a relic that's fun for an hour or two, but quickly shows why most of its contemporaries have been left behind. It's not quite buried treasure, but it's definitely better than walking the plank, at least for nostalgic hack and slash fans. If you enjoyed this trip into gaming's weirdest time machines, drop a like, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what game stuck in development hell do you want to finally see the light of day? Or just tell me the best pirate game you've ever played. Thanks for watching Veteran Game, and until next time, keep those cutlasses sharp and your check. See ya!